Hi Platform, my name is Hafsa Qureshi, and all throughout July and August, Penguin Platform are going to be doing their Pride Book Club, and this week's book is Leah on the OffBeat. If you want to join the conversation but you're not sure how, check out the description bar below. We've got a series of awesome postcards that have some talking points on the back, and then you can let us know what you think by following the hashtag Pride Book Club. Today we're going to be talking about Leah on the OffBeat. If you've not heard of this book, it is the sequel to Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, which was actually turned into a movie, which was Love, Simon. Don't worry if you haven't read the book, most of this video is going to be no spoilers, and when we get into spoiler territory I will warn you. So Leah on the OffBeat is a bit different to Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda because you're kind of following Leah on her journey. Loads of things are happening in her life, prom's coming up, high school's ending, friends are having fights and all sorts. Leah on the OffBeat is following her through that journey and seeing what Leah goes through. She's not talking to people or having like a direct thing happen to her, it's just all these things at once and how Leah copes with them. So what I love about Leah is that she's very confident, she's really sassy, she's really sarcastic, she always says what's on her mind, she just keeps it real, and she doesn't feel like someone's fake version of what a queer person should be or what someone in high school is like. It really felt like she's someone you'd know in real life, that you'd talk to. Throughout the book, Leah's struggling with her bisexuality and whether or not she should tell Simon, her best friend. There's a point in the book where Leah's talking to Simon and she wants to come out to him, she wants to tell him that she's bisexual, but she really struggles with it. She even says, I'm with my best friend, I'm with my gay best friend, why can't I just tell him? And I really understood what she was going through, because you'd think even now in 2019, people feel a lot more safe about coming out, about talking about being queer or LGBTQ, but it's still such a huge deal to come out to your friends or your family, because you don't want them to treat you differently, you don't want it to change everything. You don't want your straight friends to suddenly think you're interested in all of them all of a sudden. And I really understood what Leah was going through, and I think that'll resonate with a lot of people who read this, because you don't want it to change every aspect of your life. I mean, you're still the exact same person, but some people do treat you differently because of it, and I think it was nice to see what Leah was struggling with and how she overcame it. So Leah's experiences about whether or not she should come out as bisexual really resonated with me, because growing up in school, I struggled with the same thing. You don't want the whole world to change just because you're bisexual, even though you're still the same person, but people might start to treat you differently. So Leah also struggles with the relationship with her mum. So her mum is dating a new guy and she's not quite sure how she feels about him. She's quite grumpy about it with her mum. She's not sure about this new guy called Wells. And I really like that she's struggling with her mum, even though she's one of the few people who knows that Leah's bisexual. She still struggles maintaining that connection in other ways, and I think that's very realistic to what it's like being a young person, where you might be able to tell your family about who you are, but they may not necessarily accept you, or you may still feel isolated because of it. So growing up, there weren't that many bisexual characters in the media around me, and if there were, it was bi characters who cheated on their partners, or who weren't sure of their sexuality, or just weren't loyal people, and the representation we had as bisexuals was just really, really poor. So what I love about Leah on the OffBeat is that here we have an actual accurate representation of what bisexuality feels like. It can be really confusing knowing how to define, but it doesn't mean that we're people who aren't loyal. It doesn't mean we can only love one gender or another, or that we don't know who we are, or that we're confused. And I really appreciated that Leah on the OffBeat shows a character who knows who she is and is still struggling, but is definitely bisexual, is not confused, isn't suddenly going to become straight or suddenly become gay, because that's not the bisexual experience, that's not who we are as bisexuals. I know it can be a difficult topic, but I think sometimes it's good to have young adult books that don't signal to other people that it's about queer characters, because a lot of us can't be out, can't discuss who we are, and you could ask your parents to get you this book, or you could get it yourself, and there's nothing about it that screams bisexual necessarily. It gives you the chance to kind of connect with a character who's going through what you're going through as well, without kind of signaling to everyone if you're not quite ready. Okay, so now we're going to get into spoiler territory, so if you haven't read the book and you don't want spoilers, I'm warning you now. So throughout the book, Leah has a huge crush on her friend Abby. So there's loads of different times where Leah talks about her crush on Abby that I just think are so cute. Like when she says, it's just that she was funny and beautiful, and I felt more awake when I was around her. Everything was amplified. We'd be waiting by the buses, or she'd be talking about her old school, and I'd catch myself smiling for no reason at all. There's points in the book where Abby asks Leah how she feels, and I'm kind of screaming at the book like, Leah, she has a crush on you, or Leah, she's asking who do you like, and you're not answering her. Like when Abby asks her, can I ask you something? And just like that, my heart is racing. Something just shifted. I can't explain it, but I can feel it. Okay, I want to know who you like. Trick question, I hate everyone, says Leah. She laughs. Okay, then who do you hate the least? I don't want to answer that. The corners of her mouth tug up. Then you have to pick dare. I didn't realize we were playing truth or dare. Of course we are. She tucks her legs up and turns to face me, looking like she's about to burst out laughing, but she doesn't. My breath hitches. I dare you to kiss me, she says. And I think a lot of young queer people, especially queer women, would kind of sympathize with that and think, yeah, I've had those moments too where I wasn't quite sure, or I told them I'm bisexual or lesbian and all of a sudden the dynamic shifted. And maybe they felt like it was okay to be more open with me, or maybe even they started dating because of that. And it's just nice to see something like that in a book like this. What I love throughout it as well is Leah and Abby are both really into Harry Potter. So Leah kind of talks about how she's a Slytherin and she's so in love with this Gryffindor. And I just thought it was so cute because like often I'll read books that are for young people and it's like the author's trying really hard to get down with the kids or something. But when I read Leah on the Offbeat, it was like, oh no, she actually knows what's current and how people talk to each other. There was also some conflict in the book that felt kind of awkward and interesting to read, in that Leah is interested in Abby, but Abby is friends with their mutual friend Nick, and they've just recently broke up. So Leah has to think, should I date my friend's ex? Should I make a move on my friend's ex? Will it be awkward? Will it ruin our relationship? Will it affect the friendship? And her thinking, oh, I'd be so much better of a partner than he was to her, and kind of being conflicted, thinking, am I a good friend because I'm interested in someone else's partner? I really liked how Abby warmed to her mum's boyfriend Wells, because I think throughout the book she's kind of going through her own character growth and she's struggling with who she is, and it's just nice to see her kind of understand her mum a bit more and think, oh, maybe I should treat her a bit nicer, maybe I should try and see things from her side. Throughout the book, Leah puts up a lot of walls with people. Like, she's very funny and sarcastic and charismatic, but she's also struggling to let people in. And then as the book goes on, you see that she's willing to be more open. And as her relationship with Abby progresses, you see that she's opening up a bit more. Like at the start of the book, she's drawing, but she doesn't want to share it with anyone. She might share it with Abby, but she's not ready to kind of put it out in the world. And then by the end of the book, she's actually opened up for commissions. I thought that was amazing because it was nice to see her confidence bloom as kind of she did throughout the book. I think if there was another book in the series, I'd be really interested to see what happens to Nick, because it's spoilers. Throughout the book, Nick is dating Abby and they end up breaking up. And you know at some point he's going to find out that Leah and Abby are dating. And it seems like Nick moves on quite quickly because he ends up with someone else at prom. But I'm wondering what's going through his mind, because there's a lot of rhetoric about lesbians stealing people away or other silly things like that. And I want to see what someone who is straight or coded as straight feels about queer relationships, and maybe how they become more accustomed to them, maybe how they challenge their own prejudices and kind of grow as a person. I'd be really interested to read that side of the story. Okay, so major spoilers coming, but when I got to the end of the book, I was cheering, especially at the end when Leah and Abby finally kiss, and Abby says to Leah, like, don't say it's a cliche to kiss on prom night, and Leah's like, but it's such a cliche. The reason I loved it so much that they kissed on prom night is because there's so many stories of straight relationships where stuff like that happens, like the guy and the girl flirt and do they end up together, and then he comes up running to her and they end up kissing. And I just like the fact that we finally have like a queer version of that, because we never get the happy ending, we never get that wonderful representation, and with Leah on the Offbeat we get that chance to see a happy queer couple, to see those romantic points that happen. Because I think growing up queer, you think, oh, I can't have those experiences, I can't have someone bring me flowers or ask me out or get married, and none of those things are true. And it's nice to see that representation to show that you can have the romance that you want, you can have those experiences, and they're not going to be different just because you're queer, and everyone deserves love regardless of what your sexuality or gender identity is. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please subscribe if you want more platform videos.